Hi friends! Today I'm going to be reading an older book titled Peppermint. This book is from the 1950s. It was actually published in the year 1950. So this is an older book, but it's still one of my favorites. It's about a little kitten named Peppermint. This story is by Dorothy Grider and it's illustrated by Raymond Burns. I'll scoot up a little closer for this book because it's so small so you can see the pictures. Once there was a cat named Candy. She was called Candy because she lived in Mr. Dobby's candy store. One day, Candy had 4 little kittens in her basket beside the stove. When Mr. Dobby saw the little kittens, he gave each one of them a candy name. The tan and white kitten he named Lollipop. The black and white one was called Chocolate Drop. The tan one with the white face was called Caramel. And there was little Peppermint, who was all white and very thin. Peppermint was not as beautiful as Lollipop and Chocolate Drop and Caramel. That made Peppermint unhappy. Poor Peppermint, I think she's beautiful. After school, when the children came to the store to buy candy, they said ooh and ah when they saw Lollipop and Chocolate Drop and Caramel. But when they saw poor little Peppermint, they said, "Oh my, isn't the little white one thin? Is she sick, Mr. Dobby?" Mr. Dobby liked all of his cats, but he was too busy to take care of so many pets. Candy was a great help in chasing the mice away, so she would stay at the store, but the kittens would have to find other homes. Mr. Dobby had a big sign made. He put the sign in his window. It reads, "Kittens for sale, 15 cents. Mr. Dobby was a wise man. He knew how much little boys and girls like candy. He knew that if they spent their candy money for a kitten, they would be kind and gentle to it. Lollipop was the first kitten to go. A little girl in a red coat came first. She was very happy to carry Lollipop home. Next came a little boy with 15 pennies held tightly in his handkerchief. He couldn't decide between Chocolate Drop and Caramel. Finally, he carried the black and white kitten away, so he took Chocolate Drop home. Now only Candy and Caramel and Peppermint were left. Late the same afternoon, a little boy and girl left their wagon at the door and came into the candy store. "We'd like a kitten, sir," the little boy said. In a few minutes, Caramel rode away in the wagon with her 2 new owners. That left Peppermint all alone with Candy and Mr. Dobby. Days went by. No one offered to buy the little white kitten, so Mr. Dobby took the sign out of the store window. It was not many days before Peppermint's fur was a dirty gray because she spent so much of her time in the storeroom hiding behind boxes and barrels. One afternoon, the children rushed into the candy store. They were all excited as they told Mr. Dobby about the big cat show they were going to have at school. Caramel, Chocolate Drop, and Lollipop were all going to be there. Peppermint peeked from behind a box. She heard the children talking. She wished she could be in the cat show too. The children soon ran home to get their kittens ready. But one little girl in a worn-out sweater stayed behind. She was rubbing her eyes and looking very sad. "What's your name, little girl?" Mr. Dobby asked. "Barbara," said the little girl. "What is the matter, Barbara?" Mr. Dobby asked. He didn't like to see little boys and girls unhappy. I haven't a kitten," Barbara sobbed. "Dear me," said Mr. Dobby. He had grown very fond of Peppermint, but when he saw how unhappy Barbara was, he said, "You may have Peppermint." Barbara was too happy to speak. She picked up Peppermint and held her close. "Thank you, Mr. Dobby," she said, and she ran all the way home to her mother. Barbara's mother was washing clothes. She stopped to hear all about the cat show and Mr. Dobby and Peppermint. "We'll have to give Peppermint a bath," Barbara's mother said when she saw the soiled white cat. "She'll never win a prize looking like this." She took the dirty little kitten and put her in the tub of soapy water. Peppermint didn't like having a bath. She jumped out of the tub right into a pan of bluing. So she jumped into a pan of blue dye. Barbara started to cry. She knew Peppermint was ruined, but her mother caught the kitten, wrapped her in a towel, and put her in the sun to dry out. The next morning, Barbara's mother tied a big pink ribbon around Peppermint's neck. She put her in a basket so Barbara could carry her to school. When Barbara reached school, all the other boys and girls were proudly holding their kittens. They wondered what Barbara had in her basket. One by one, the children took their kittens to the front of the room. Finally, it was Barbara's turn. Carefully, she took Peppermint from the basket and held her up for all the children to see. How surprised they were! Peppermint was no longer a soiled white kitten. Now she was a beautiful, fluffy blue kitten with a pink bow around her neck. "Oh," said some of the children. "She's beautiful," said the others. "She should have first prize," someone else said. So Peppermint did win first prize at the cat show. She was the happiest kitten in the schoolroom, and Barbara was the very happiest little girl. I hope you friends enjoyed. Bye.